Hello, I'm William Gallagher, and this is 58 Keys, which, as ever, as always, is for writers. Writers like you and me who use and who write on Macs and iPhones and iPads, and actually today, kind of, sort of, a bit, all of them, but particularly the Mac. Do please like, subscribe, or patronise me, because there's a decent amount today to talk about concerning Journal, Apple's Journal app. Previously, Apple released this Journal diary app in late 2023, and it was very good. I mean, there were some oddities, things like a really weirdly limited search feature, but really it was excellent, except for one kind of major thing. At that time, Journal was solely on the iPhone. It wasn't on the Mac, it wasn't even on the iPad, and that is what has changed, fortunately. I mean, we're writers, aren't we? So if you and I are going to write, if we're going to journal at all, there's a decent chance we're going to write quite a bit, please. And as much as I like my iPhone, actually, as much as I have written whole articles on that iPhone, you don't rush to write 1,000 words on it when you've got a Mac with the proper keyboards. Yeah. That is what you want a Mac for, and that is what we've got now. As of macOS Tahoe, released back in September 2025, Journal is on the Mac, and actually it's also on the iPad. And okay, really, it remains true that the best version, the most complete version, is on the iPhone and the iPad, yeah, but definitely not the Mac. Journal on the iPhone can do more. It has more features. The Mac version just makes it easy for us to write in Journal. So here is Journal on the Mac. Because it wasn't on the Mac originally, I soon kind of lost the habit of writing in the Journal app. So I don't have a lot of entries, but I have some. And I definitely have more than you see there. But that's because the entries haven't synced across from the iPhone to my Mac yet. There's nothing you can do about that. You just need to wait. This time, but I walked away from a mug of tea. Example mug of tea, look at that, prop ready. I left Journal open and actually really quickly added over all of my entries from the iPhone. But when I tried it last year, just after the Mac thing came out, it took overnight. And, you know, kind of again lost interest. I'm fickle. Journal is written for writers who are fickle enough, really, that apart from that delay, we also need the odd prod to keep writing. And you can have Journal notify you every day, every other day, every Tuesday, whatever you like. Have it notify you with a prod, a notification saying, come on now would be a good time to write in your journal. I left that notification on, and it's never a good time to do it. The notification waits until I'm busy, but, you know, it keeps Journal in your mind. With everything now on the Mac, the iPhone, and also the iPad, here's how you start an entry on the Mac and what you can put in it other than just your typing. If your Journal screen on Mac looks kind of roughly like this, I mean, obviously the entries are going to be different here, but I mean, this panel down the side, this main section of Journal entries, then you can click on this plus sign to start a new entry. Sometimes it will look different, because sometimes I find I'm in a section or I'm scrolling through something, previous entries, and there's no plus sign, except when you are writing an entry. You can always press Command N for new and start writing. By default, you have to write a title for the entry. Well, I'm fine for that. I mean, I've been a headline writer. Yeah, it's fine, but I do get that you might also think you know enough already. I'm forever doing titles. Why do I have to do one in my little diary? Isn't the date enough? If you happen to think that, you can go to Settings and change Add Entry Title from Always to Never. You saw that there, the only for moments bit. In Apple Journal, a moment is a prompt or a suggestion that the Journal app gives you. I mean, you see this most on the iPhone, where it can also give you a thought for the day, kind of writing text prompt. But there are also moments like the location where you went walking yesterday, and photographs, things. Journal may actually prompt you to add that location, that prompt into an entry, or to write about it in your diary. This is really something I think that belongs to Journal on the iPhone, but if you have an iPhone, well then Journal on the Mac will also get these moments once you've created them on the iPhone. But You're right. It's not like you're short of things to write. So just looking at your text, you can write a title if you like, and then you can type away as much as you like. I've not found a limit, and actually just now, just before you and I started talking, I took a 7,000 word chapter, something like that, chapter out of a book, and then I just plopped it into a journal entry to see in journal. Yeah, fine, whatever. Nothing like footnotes and styles and none of the formatting, but journal didn't object to the word count. Okay. Journal is not a word processor. It's not really even a text editor. It is a receptacle for what you want to say about today or another day. Again, by default, any entry you make is dated today, quite reasonably. But if you're catching up or if you're trying to establish an alibi, you can change the date, something that fits. Click on to the immediate right of the date in an entry and you can change it from there. So that's the date, a title, some text. That's actually usually enough for me, but Journal on the Mac does offer you 4 more options for other things you can add to an entry. From left to right across this little toolbar, that's a button for photos. It lets you insert any number of your existing photos. It will actually always ask you first whether you want to add an existing photo or would like to turn on the camera to take a new one. And that seems to me to be a bit of a pointless extra step, really, since the next icon along is for turning the camera on to take a new photo. Third along this short toolbar, there's the location symbol. There's a section in settings called Add Current Location to every entry. And I believe the default is to have it turned on, but if it isn't, well, turn it on. Why not? It identifies the place where you wrote the entry, and it also builds up a map in Journal of everywhere you go. It's kind of nice to see it, especially when you have a lot of places. But again, catching up after a week away, trying to avoid being put away for years for some crime that you may or may not have done, I'm not judging. You might want to choose to specify a different location for this particular entry, whatever you're writing now. And then lastly, on these 4, there's the audio icon. Click on that and you can just talk. You can just talk, assuming you're on a Mac that has a microphone attached. Say what you like, get it all off your chest, and then that audio recording is saved to the journal entry. I don't tend to do this. I prefer typing to dictation, but of course it's useful. Plus, you can do, just want to have straight thought, you can also do straight dictation right in the journal entry. You don't have to do this audio recording and stuff and save it in. When you're in an entry, you can choose the edit menu and then start dictation and away off you go. But something I really like along these lines, something I really like about the audio recording feature is that it is now transcribed for you. Originally it wasn't, and I don't know why. And audio stayed as solely audio, even as the Mac and the iPhone grew, all of these Apple Intelligence-based transcription tools. Now, these audios are transcribed, so you can read them, and you can also search for the text in the transcriptions. That's huge, and particularly welcome given how weak journal search is. I mean, journal search isn't great, okay? It can be quite hard still to find an entry is there, other than by scrolling and all this stuff. You can, although actually, if you know you're going to want to come back to an entry, you can bookmark one. And when you've got the list of entries up, click on the ellipses icon and choose Add Bookmark. Okay. While you were doing that, you saw the grayed out Choose Journal entry. You can decide in Journal to have more than one journal, more than one collection of entries. I mean, maybe you want a work diary one and a personal one. I don't really know why you would want this, because it's still you logging your day, and I don't know that I see an advantage to adding the time to separate it more. This one belongs in there, but you can. And you can do it very easily. You can create a new journal very easily by clicking here on this plus sign next to the word journals. If you do that, then when you are editing an entry like you just saw, then the choose journal option becomes available and you can pop the piece wherever you like. Journal on the Mac has these 4 tools of photos, camera, location and audio recordings, but there are 2 more on the iPhone and on the iPad versions. I do want to keep talking. Oh, well, no, actually, let me keep you in suspense. Why not? Build some drama. We're writers. Unless you already know what the other buttons are. Yeah, okay. There's a bit more to say, but that's specific to the Mac. Let's structure this better. Really, I think you get the full benefits of Journal by using it across all devices. But on the Mac, I think you are better able to handle, well, doing long entries, of course, typing a lot, but also compiling lots of these moments like photos and audio, gathering together all sorts of things. You do not, though, have to do this actually within the Mac Journal app itself. Here's Apple Music, for instance, and from there, I can share this playlist to Journal. Done. Now, if I go into Journal, I can click on that entry and be taken to Apple Music. What I'd like, actually, is for the track listing to be saved, because I'm kind of sure now that clicking this playlist icon will always open Apple Music and always take you to whatever the latest version of that playlist is, not the one you liked so much that you decided to save it on this special day. But okay, you can share other things into Journal. Here's a news story. There it is. Done. It's in Journal. Only the playlist, that news article, and why not this song? It's great that you can send them into Journal from other apps, but they always go in as a separate entry each. If I wanted to write an entry that said, I read this great article about churches, listened to this miserable but excellent song by Flogging Molly, and particularly enjoyed this week's Essentials mix on Apple Music and so on. Well, tough. That bit is the same on the iPhone and the iPad versions of Journal. And okay, I suppose I don't really know how from another app you could easily specify which entry you want to add things to. But on the Mac, I don't even seem to be able to, send in a pile of entries, then copy the bits out into one. That doesn't seem to work either. Okay, I do want to talk to you about Journal on the Mac particularly because this is reasonably new and it's a big thing, but it is so intertwined with Journal on the iPhone and the iPad that it is, like I say, it is best used across the lot. And what you can do, and actually what I did before Journal came to the Mac, was use iPhone mirroring. So why not? Have a look at this. Here's my Mac screen with Journal open and my iPhone in it, also in the Journal app. Should you do this for any strange reason, one thing you'll see is how kind of jumpy the syncing is with entries. Some entries will, they'll cross over first. They appear in like an odd order. I can't see it, but then, they straighten themselves out. Okay. But what you'll also see, whenever you do anything on the iPhone, this way or holding it in your hand, iPhone or iPad, there are these two extra buttons when you're writing a new entry, as well as photos, camera, location, and audio. You also get this, what kind of suggestions one, this Moments button. Press that and the iPhone will show you a slew of possible things to add to your entry. Recent photographs, recent workouts, apparently map locations, or writing prompts. These have been there from the start on the iPhone, and when they first came out, I kind of thought I'd find them a bit patronizing. Write about a sunset. What are you grateful for today? Think of something you achieved this morning. Yeah, right. Like the sun's gone down somewhere. I'm in the office. I haven't looked. I've been eating chocolate all day instead of writing thanks. Okay. I still feel that a bit, but I have to admit that sometimes they can actually be effective. Isn't it, anything that gets you writing is good, isn't it? Anyway, over at the other side of this short toolbar on the iPhone and the iPad, there's this other button that's only on the iPhone and the iPad, not on the Mac, and it's a health button. I do not know why this isn't on the Mac when it is on the iPad, but I do understand why it would be on the iPhone, since that device is like forever collating health information for you, such as measurements from Apple Watch or something, from the attached Apple Watch. Still, the first time you ever press this button in any entry in Journal, you are asked permission for Journal to have a chat, really, with the health data on your iPhone. Say yes, it's your data, it's staying where it is, it's fine. But now, whenever you press that button again, you get the mindfulness prompt. You can log how you are feeling today. Now, actually, I did do this for an extended period, a few months, when it first appeared in the Health app, not the journal one, and it was useful. After a time, it started pointing out when I kept saying I felt like what kind of days of the week and things, what times, and it would show me kind of what else was going on around those times. I'm not going to say the word family, but one more thing, which I'll show you on the Mac, but it is actually across all of them, all of the devices. This is a shortcut that takes certain information from my OmniFocus To Do app, just one example of something you can do, and puts it into a journal entry, into a new journal entry. OmniFocus lets you see a list of what tasks you completed today if you want, and well, I figure that's potentially useful in a diary, isn't it? If I've got nothing else to say, this is what I was doing. Plus, shortcuts can make journal entries for you, and shortcuts can be scheduled. So you put all of this together, and I can have a shortcut that runs at the end of every day, taking my completed task lists and putting it into a new entry in journal. It is a very good idea, and quite often it works. But for some reason, and truly who knows why, quite often I will pick up my iPhone the next day and there'll be a notification saying it failed. Not one thin clue why, but it is handy when it works. And you can use shortcuts for all sorts of things then. Maybe you can actually use shortcuts to put several things into an entry. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah. The thing with journal is, all right, garbage in, garbage out, but also never writing anything. I don't want journals to become another pressure on us, but journaling is writing. We need to keep writing. It is good for us. I may have just put myself off the idea. I could be writing the book instead of the journal. Next, I'll be taking exercise. Anyway, that's it for this edition of 58 Keys. Thank you very much for watching. But now take care of yourself, okay? And I'll see you soon.